UNC Public Relations Officer, Dr. Kirk Meighoo. Pleasant good evening to you, Doc.
Thank you, and a pleasant good evening to you and your viewers.
Yes, indeed. Well, a lot is being, bandied about, and I think it's only fair that we clear the air, and why not the Observer, where everyone, of course, is locked on and viewing. First of all, the Prime Minister claims that there's a deal with the Chief Secretary and the United National Congress, and he warns Tobagonians democracy is under threat.
This reeks of desperation. It is absolutely untrue, first of all, in terms of there being any arrangement between the PDP and the UNC. But it is a very curious thing that Prime Minister Rowley went across to Tobago. There's no election coming up, and then he makes these wild allegations and wild claims. He's a man who is clearly unhinged, absolutely unhinged.
Yeah, he tells them, of course, that there's an agreement. Alleged the agreement is being made as the Chief Secretary seeks the establishment of a Tobago legislature through the United National Congress. And to back the claim, the Prime Minister cited a proposal Augustine sent to all parliamentarians 2 years ago during the debate of the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill. And he went on, of course, saying that in that letter, they requested a creation of a special structure which was recommended to provide for 2 separate assemblies in the first of the 2-chamber system, 15 assembly members, 4 councillors, a presiding officer, and a president were to be elected.
Well, the UNC is not, we do not have any official correspondence to that effect at all. But it goes back to what we spoke about in terms of our position, the UNC's position on the autonomy bill, that the PNM government did not properly consult with the people of Tobago. So you have these, prominent citizens here making these very serious demands, and it is nowhere part of the PNM consultation process. We all know how PNM consultations are. They're all shams. They never mean to have consultation. It's all just a poppy show, just window dressing, because they just want to ram through whatever they want to ram through. That is the PNM way ever since 1956. So, and then now he's trying to bring up, I'm sure he's trying to bring up fear of the UNC in Tobago. This is despicable, the type of politics that Rowley is espousing, and if anybody is a danger to democracy, it is Rowley and the PNM.
I mean, one has to look at the language, which I think is something quite interesting. He says that if you, meaning the people of Tobago, are not careful, that is the bread that the devil is kneading, and you're going to eat it if you are not careful. And of course, he lamented that the recommendations were not the result of consultation on the island. It brings us back, and many people who are weighing in on this, as far as the Calcutta ship statements. There always seems to be some sort of narrative as far as being careful, and of course, it then takes you into some sort of racial dynamics. What are we really witnessing here? Is this a sign of desperation?
It is absolutely a sign of desperation, because the UNC has the PNM on the ropes and on the defensive, and that Rowley and his government have to keep answering the tough questions we bring to them, and exposing the corruption, exposing their misgovernance, and exposing the absolute destruction in this country that they are overseeing. And so he is going back to the PNM playbook, like we had in the local government election campaign. You go to race, you go to xenophobia, you go to stir up the worst aspects of human nature. That is what Keith Rowley and the PNM are about. But they are a minority government. They lost the local government elections that just happened in 2023, and they lost the THA elections as well. So they are a desperately flailing government that is now going to be. They will stop at at no depth. They will go as low as possible, lower than the white line in the road.
What do you say to folks? Of course, the UNC is a national party, and many have weighed in on this and said, but how come there are no candidates in Tobago?
Well, the position of the UNC has always been that we will let the people of Tobago decide who their representatives are. That has always been the position. We understand that this is the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, in which Tobago has its own history, its own autonomy, its own culture. It is a separate island with a whole different dynamic that we have tremendous respect for. We don't see Tobago as a part of Trinidad. Many people do see Tobago as just an extension of Trinidad. It is not. It is its own island with a proud history, and we have always respected that.
Do you believe, looking at this, do you believe that the campaigning has begun? Because in all of this, we're still talking about, and of course Dr. Rowley brought it up, the promise of the Tobago West and East seats to the opposition in the 2025 general elections.
Yes, well, he is obviously scared, because now that he's lost control of Tobago and he's lost control of Trinidad, because if you map the 2023 local government election results onto a map of the parliamentary seats for a general election, then the UNC would have a majority. So he is extremely desperate. Because they are going to lose, and he himself is saying that they're going to lose the 2 Tobago seats. We already have a majority of votes in Trinidad, and now, according to the last local government election, we have a majority of seats. So they are just trying to pull out everything from their old, stale playbook to try to just hold on to power in their last days, because that's where they are at.
Yeah, I think timing basically says a lot here, and why at this point in time that the discussions of the East and West of Tobago seats are up. Is it that they're up for grabs? And I think one has to really keep an eye on that. I want to also look at the fact, according to media reports, a letter was sent to the opposition leader, Kamala Prasad-Bissessa, and copied to Prime Minister Dr. Rowley, titled Bipartisan Safety and Security Discussions, and is the request for the composition of the opposition's team by AG Reginald Amar, SC, that states that the deadline to submit the names for the opposition team is November 9th, which is tomorrow. And many people are saying, listen, right now as we speak, the murder toll is 495. And we still have a few weeks to go again before we usher in a brand new year. Is this being used as some political football when many of the citizens are under siege and simply are being tortured and abused by the hands of criminals?
Yeah, well, this just goes to show how unserious the PNM are about tackling the crime situation, how unprepared they are, and how they have politicized this. They have politicized government in general, but let's take crime in particular, so much that they do not wish to truly include the opposition in the crime-fighting effort, because they do not want that our ideas and our suggestions would work and therefore show them up for the failures that they have been. They do not want external stakeholders as part of the process. And the AG is inserting himself where he has no business whatsoever. The leader of opposition, our political leader, responded to Keith Rowley's letter with very detailed requests, because after the first letter that Keith Rowley sent, the 5 people on the government side, 4 people, and there were so many unilateral changes to the agreement, and there's a whole list of questions that the opposition leader submitted, and I'd like to just quickly go through what those questions are, because they need to be answered before we can move ahead. Right, so the first one is to confirm whether the Prime Prime Minister will be attending at all. That is just unfathomable to imagine that he would not wish to attend, this talk, which is the most important thing facing our country. The second question is, we want him to clarify whether he has rescinded his statement made where he talked about having 4 people on each team. Now he's all of a sudden changed it to 5 and 4. And that's in the next question we asked. So why did he, is that an actual certified change in the letter, the 5 and 4 opposition? Because that was not in the original. So was that a typo? Was that a mistake? Or was that a unilateral change they made? And if it is a unilateral change, then please explain why you made this change without any consultation with us. And then we also asked him to clarify, please clarify and confirm if this change was an error in drafting. Oh, and that has to do with, first, they said 4 opposition members would be part. Then, in the subsequent letter, they said opposition parliamentarian. So again, we're asking the same question. Was this a drafting error? Was this a mistake your secretary made? Is it a typo? Or is this actually a unilateral change that you imposed, just on a whim, without even discussing with us? And then, and there's more, right? So the other change we asked is, we wanted him to clarify here. Please clarify the basis for excluding stakeholder contributions, because we had said that it cannot just be a closed group of parliamentarians, of political parties. This is a national problem that requires a national solution, national mobilization. We have people with skills and experience from outside of both of our political parties. And we think that is crucial. So we want to know why he has simply ignored that, because that was a crucial part of our request. And then number 6, I think there were 7 clarifications we had asked. The leader had asked the Prime Minister. So please clarify and confirm if you had made any approaches to stakeholders. Right. So we want to know whether he did approach stakeholders. And then number 7 was with this 5-4 suggestion. They said that they would consider external stakeholders once a majority approves, but they put in a built-in government majority. So in other words, they are saying they want to veto whoever is included and whoever is not included. No. And this, again, is a unilateral decision made. And so now the AG, we didn't write the AG. The AG, could write our shadow AG if you want. But the Prime Minister has not answered these questions, and the AG is now daring to, presuming to give a deadline of tomorrow without even answering these questions. No, we need clarity. They can't be changing the goalposts every single time. This is an alarming and disturbing lack of seriousness. And it's like they're playing games. It's tricks. That's not what this is about.
And again, as citizens weighing in on this, looking from the outside, it seems as though it's basically set up to frustrate the process. I mean, here it is. This is titled Bipartisan Safety and Security Discussion. Now, we have gone past that. I want to be honest with you. As I said, we are now at 495 murders for the year. Senior citizens, for those politicians who are disconnected, senior citizens are no longer leaving their homes. They're not going out for any transaction. They're not even spending time with their grandchildren in the parks, in any open space, because they are vulnerable at this point. They are soft targets. People are coming over your wall. People are opening your gate. People are violating you sexually. You name it. They are any transaction. It makes you wonder who's talking to. And at this point in time, This should not just be about having discussions. We want to know. We want solutions. Are we going to look at 550 murders next year? Are we going to look at 600 the year after? I mean, come on. This cannot just be about frustrating the process. We need to get this conversation going so we can have some solution to what's taking place.
And I totally agree with you. And another point made at the opposition leaders letter was that, again, what they did is they unilaterally closed the discussion by just bringing up legislation that already was in the House and failed. Right? So they just said that's what they want to discuss. That's the agenda. And then they said, plus any other item. But we're talking about plans, policies, a holistic approach, not just failed legislation that has happened. And all those things you're talking about, from educational, job opportunities, the economy, social programs, all these things which are so important that we need to devote everything, because we cannot move forward as a country economically, socially, in any way without having this basic security first, in place first, because right now this country in our entire history has never faced this level of anarchy, murder, ever in our history. This is unprecedented.
Yeah.
They are destroying this country by playing games like this. We need to be serious and involve everybody and stop changing things and playing politics with this. We need to solve it.
And I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, one has to understand what is up for grabs here. What are we losing out on? Our global image, our security. The fact that all of this has a domino effect on our economy, on everything that we do. How can we function if we don't feel safe? How can we have any sort of confidence as far as consumers in our economy if we cannot participate because we're afraid? We're afraid to go out. We're afraid to let go of $1 because we're not sure if $2 or $3 is going to come back into our hands. We are afraid at this point. That's what we are. On a daily basis, we are living in fear. And one would think that taking that in consideration, how important these talks are and how important political maturity is needed at this time, especially when it comes to leadership. Again, so I have to ask the question, if this doesn't work out, if they're going to be playing games, if people are going to be biding time, what's the next move?
That's a difficult thing in our system of government, because in our system of government, the opposition has extremely limited power. I mean, our role, constitutional role, our legal role as an opposition is to debate legislation, to hold the government to account, in things like the joint select committees of parliament, and asking questions. But thankfully, at the municipal level, we do have some executive authority in the 7 corporations we control. But then again, their funding is ultimately controlled by central government, and their authority is very, very limited on what they can do. But it does give us some leeway. But we just have to keep up the pressure. We have to fight back. We have to stand up, and if this government will not hear, we have to make them feel that we must demand accountability. We must demand action be taken, or they just have to leave and put a mandate and let the people give a mandate to a government that can actually get things done with a proven track record. Every time, whenever we have come into power, the crime has gone down, the economy has gone up, people's social welfare and satisfaction and happiness has gone up every time, and we need to turn this country around again, and we need to do everything in our power to do so.
And let me talk about this issue now. As far as all the talk that's being bandied about, as far as hijacking of the party, you have a former MP, UNC MP, saying that it is from senior party members, and of course the leader herself seeking to ascertain who wants to challenge her in the UNC's 2024 internals. What say you? This
is a distraction that has been put up, obviously, by people who wish to save the PNM by having us talk about non-issues. I don't think any MP or senator with any sanity would be looking to destabilize the opposition at this point. The question of leadership does not arise until 2025. Kamala Prasad Bissessa has secured the leadership ever since she became leader in 2010, and we just reconfirmed that last year, and so that means it won't be until 2025 that the next election comes. This is obviously trying to distract from the fact that we have the PNM on the ropes. They are desperate. They are a minority government in both Trinidad and Tobago. They are involved in several corruption scandals at the moment, and they are just totally destroying the infrastructure, the social fabric, the educational structure, the economy, and the people are feeling it. They've rejected them at the polls. The last two elections we had, in terms of local government and THA elections, and we just need the general elections to come up to reject them at that level, because we need to take back our country.
Let me ask you, I mean, the dust has settled quite some time now on the local government elections, quite in favor of the UNC when you look at the figures and all the advances that has been made. But yet still, how difficult is it, and I want to ask you specifically as the PRO, to interact with individuals who would come up to you and say, Doc, I know we're doing good, I know it looks bright, but listen, every 5 years it takes away from my life. Every 5 years I'm trying to get rid so there can be good governance to return to this country. Is there a mechanism for that sort of venting? I mean, at this point in time, rather than having this in an open forum and airing dirty laundry, how do you deal with it, and how best do you think it should be handled?
Well, okay, for one thing I would want to tell people is get involved. There's no such thing as a perfect political party, a perfect entity. Right? And so in any country, right, there's no such thing as a perfect party anywhere in the world. The UK, the United States, Canada, Australia, India, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. There's all, in any organization, there are issues. And if you want to see any changes within the organization that according to your ideas, then come, be part of it. We are open. We are a democratic organization. And try to implement and advocate and lobby for the changes you want to see. You can't just sit back and expect things to go the way you want without getting involved. We have to get involved. Democracy is not a passive. It's not a passive system of government where you just sit back and then if you don't like it, oh well, I'm not going to vote. No, if you don't like it, then get involved and let's change it to what is better. And so if there are people who are who would like to see improvements, and every organization can do with improvements and new ideas and fresh blood, we welcome everybody to participate. There's so much to do. There is so much to do. And we want more people to come on board, and we want people with vibrant ideas, new ideas, with energy, with enthusiasm, and we welcome it. We welcome it. So if there are things if there are changes, if there are things that you would like to see done that perhaps you're not seeing done, well, we welcome that. Come on. We know there are all sorts of things that need to be done still, and we just need all hands on deck. So we invite everybody to come on board.
And of course, based on your personal experiences, you know how easy it is for a negative narrative to enter the domain of those who are fighting and pushing forward. And when you hear all of this talk, all that is being said, when in fact the focus should be about, again, restoring good governance, accountability, and of course, having transparency. We hear a lot of things as far as looking for kinks in the armors of the leader and many of the executive members. But currently, we are talking about a government that has spent millions of dollars for a witch hunt on the opposition. Nothing has materialized, and even so, the company is requesting all of their money because it has been going on too long. Compounded with the fact that we've had a cyber hacking that took place where bank records, insurance records, personal data, all of this, and it's not the first time that we're learning, but yet this has been kept a secret. And then we're hearing all of these things as far as WASA and trying to privatize and all of that. Then you ask yourself,
outstanding issues with the Children Authority,
right,
and the pedophilia and the abuse that is still going on in the children's home. We have things about this human trafficking. No conviction as yet. We've dropped under the PNM. We were at Tier 2 under the UNC. Then we dropped it at Tier 2 watch list under the PNM. And then Fitzgerald Hines boasts about catching someone, convicting them, but then they got away. It's absolutely ridiculous, absurd, and then we have the pariah divers. We have the worst industrial accident, a tragedy, a human tragedy that the blood on the hands of the government in terms of that. We have so many things that they just want to distract with bacchanal, with rumors. They have these websites, some of which are paid by the government, to just spread the most vile, disgusting, racialized, sexualized slander, and that is what they are distracting people's attention with. And people doing this anonymously. You can't even sue them because they're too afraid to come out and say it and tell us who they are so we can sue them. No, instead they hide behind these anonymous pages and just spread destructive rumors, and all this is to distract us from taking responsibility for our country, from standing up, for looking problems straight in the eye and offering solutions and fixing our country. It is a very, very diabolically evil thing to allow this to happen like that.
So true. And I want to ask you finally, because everyone has been making those calls and asking me, when is the Monday night meetings going to resume?
Oh, yes. Well, it will happen after the Diwali season. Remember, we had the budget presentation, then we had the joint select committees, and then we had the Diwali season that we are going through right now. And so this has really been taking up all the attention and focus of our MPs and our activists and our organizers. And so after Diwali next weekend, or the weekend coming, then we will have the Monday night forums again, the Monday night reports. So that would be, I'm trying to remember the exact date, but the following Monday after the public holiday.
All right, closing comments, go right ahead.
What I just want to say is that I know, but in this Diwali season, I want to wish the whole country a happy Diwali. We are in a very, very dark period, and just as in the story of Diwali, where the return of Ram to Ayodhya, the return, which was the overturning of that injustice that happened, and the darkness being driven away by light. That's what we have to do. That is what we have to do. We are in the dark period now, but it will not last forever. And I know people are hurting. I know people have really, faced some of the most tremendous, crises in their lives, whether it be losses due to crime, whether it be losses of their livelihood, losses of loved ones and family members. It is really, really a tragic, dark time, but we must not ever lose hope, because there is a God. God is real. The good will win over evil. It will, and we must persist, and we will do it.
All right. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you and your entire team, and we'll be speaking with you periodically. Thank you so much again.